Thank you for joining us. I'm Peter Michael Martinez. I wanted to take some time to go over the technology that we have here at New Kingdom. And the best way to do that is to walk you through some of the things that we've come up with. And so uh, thank you for joining us here at Remnant House, the home of the strong and very courageous, where we are in position for this next age that is coming on. So, again, thank you for joining us and for being part of this moment in history. And many of you are now aware of course, the influx, the flood of artificial intelligence that has now become the norm in our world. And of course, what we are dealing with is a rapidly changing economy and a rapidly changing way in which we all interact. And artificial intelligence has made a massive impact on that. And so over a year ago, we began to see some of the problems that were going to be coming for that and went to work to create solutions. So that's what we're going to be talking to you about today. Many of you are awake to the issues of the data centers that have now come up. And many, many more people are now aware of the existential threat that we are now facing, not only from the utilization of electricity and other resources, but also the other potential uses for this technology. And so, for that reason, among others, we went to work here at New Kingdom to come up with solutions that would empower the individual, would be about the preservation of sovereignty of man and woman upon the earth. Many of you are starting to slowly notice the erosion of that very thing. So I'm going to take some time to go one patent at a time. We have 14 patents that we have filed. We have 3 more to file. So this is not going to be an easy conversation to have. So grab a cup of coffee or something that you enjoy drinking and relax. Grab a notepad. And if you have questions, you are always welcome to shoot them to us. And we'll be happy to answer your questions wherever you are. So whether you're just looking at it from a standpoint of an observer, as a consumer, if you will, from a business perspective, from partnership standpoint, or as a potential licensee, this should answer a lot of questions for you and at least give you a basis upon which we could have further conversations. So on that note, let's go ahead and get on over to our primary website that we'll be using for bouncing off, which will be angelsdx.com. And so I'll go ahead and put that right up on the screen. Angelsdx.com is our flagship, if you will, where we debut from. Many of our technology will debut from here. And so even though we're not necessarily soliciting investors, we put this here for those that would be looking at it from that perspective. And so looking at the patents and the things that we have built and how they function is important, especially from that perspective. And so even though, again, we're not actively soliciting investment at this time, we nevertheless wanted to make this available. And so the first patent, and the one that we're going to be talking about today, is the LivingFAQ system. And this is an invention that started us off, and it comes from what many of you have already experienced if you're dealing with artificial intelligence out there. By the way, this page does have a recording, so if you don't want to read it, it can be read to you. So there's that. But essentially, what this technology was meant to do was eliminate some of the problems and frustrations that you have just operating with typical artificial intelligence. So the revolutionary AI memory solution that saves approximately 166 or more terawatts of energy annually while solving universal problems of AI session memory loss. And again, we didn't necessarily aim at the energy savings. That turned out to be a secondary thing as we achieved our primary objective. So self-learning, self-organizing, and indefinitely scalable is something that we uniquely have. And so that's why we patented this technology. We have 25 individual claims. The valuation, and these valuations are based on bank valuations. So we use the same methodology that are used for pre-IPO or bank valuations for lending purposes. And so you see the value of this particular patent at this particular time in recording. And these are all, the details of these valuations are on the website that I'll share with you here shortly. This is the savings that, of course, this patent, if implemented, can produce. And there are 6 independent claims in the patent application. And AI, of course, as many of you know, has a catastrophic memory issue. While they are trying to solve that, you really can't solve it in a model. When you try to do so, you create a different problem. So every major AI platform, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, it doesn't matter. They suffer from the same fundamental architectural flaw, which is complete and total memory loss between sessions. And this isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a catastrophic failure that costs billions annually and destroys the environment because of the fact that you have so much repetition. So the frustrating reality every user faces as you spend somewhere, who knows how much time, if you're utilizing this technology, 45 minutes or so teaching ChatGPT your coding preferences, you explain your project structure, and then, of course, you close the tab and everything is gone. Now, again, they're trying to find ways to mitigate this. However, nothing matches the power and capability of the LivingFAQ. And again, if they're depending on the model itself, then you're really not eradicating the root problem, which is, of course, overutilization of GPUs and data centers to begin with. So the scale of waste is ridiculous. Google alone processes 5 trillion searches annually, and AI platforms are rapidly approaching similar scales. When AI forgets what it already learned, users are asking the same questions repeatedly. AI regenerates the same answers from scratch. GPUs spin up for computation that were already done, and energy is consumed for work that was already completed. So the redundancy alone is astronomical. That was one of the first areas that we arrested in our patent. Secondarily, because of the reduction in utilization of GPUs and data centers, that obviously results in a massive reduction in CO2 emissions and waste byproducts of data centers, which we are all slowly becoming more aware of. So it's a good thing that we were way out in front of this. If even 1%, if even just 1% of the United States, for example, utilizes our technology, the numbers are staggering. If we could prevent just 1% of redundant AI queries, we would save approximately 15 terawatts of energy per year. That's enough power to power 1.4 million American homes for an entire year, to put that into perspective. So preventing just 1% of what we can do a lot better than that on. Now imagine 5, 10, 20%. The environmental impact is civilization altering. That's why. And by the way, when you provide solutions, as we do, as opposed to simply protesting AI and protesting technology, which will fail. They've invested too much. They're not going to back up. They'd rather roll you over. But if you come up with solutions, as we have, that can actually solve the problem, then you're having a different discussion. So LivingFAQ is an AI that never forgets. It's a self-learning, self-organizing knowledge system that captures intelligence the first time it's discovered and serves it instantly forever thereafter. So essentially, it's cached once and served indefinitely. The core innovation is it's no longer going to be forgetting things that you have it learning. When a user asks a question, the AI generates a high-quality answer. LivingFAQ captures that knowledge permanently. And so it is built into our system, and there's no additional GPU computation, so model inference and energy consumption dramatically reduces. The knowledge is already generated, so it simply needs to be retrieved. Retrieval is a very different process than GPU or data center utilization. So this is where our massive gap begins. And again, this is just patent number 1, folks. So we have self-organizing intelligence. LivingFAQ doesn't just store answers, it understands them. So this is live, of course, in Recall DX. And questions automatically organized into semantic categories, related knowledge clusters together, and the system builds a living taxonomy of everything it learns. So it doesn't just learn data, it learns relational data. And how do I make my website faster is a question you might ask, and LivingFAQ recognizes this is semantic identical to what can I do to improve page load times and My site is slow, so how can I fix it? The same question, 100 different phrases, one intelligent answer. So the exponential value accumulation is extraordinary. Every question answered makes the system more valuable. Every interaction adds to the knowledge base. So on day 100 questions are cached. By day 30, 10,000 questions were cached. By day 165, 365, who knows how many questions it has already queried and has developed that are customized to that individual. The hit rate grows exponentially. By month 6, the majority of incoming questions can be answered from the LivingFAQ. By year 2, it's approaching comprehensively domain coverage. This knowledge asset then appreciates over time instead of depreciating. And so every component represents a patentable innovation, and each layer is protected. So we have the LivingFAQ system as an automatic question capture system. It has, of course, just right in the name, it's a frequently asked questions, and that just continues to expand. The system monitors natural conversation flow and automatically identifies when a user is using a question that deserves permanent storage. No manual tagging is required, no user effort. The AI recognizes question patterns, intent signals, and answers quality automatically. So the semantic intent is right there. LivingFAQ doesn't match keywords, it understands meaning. And so, again, this becomes very important for usability. We can't just get rid of this. What we have to do is improve it. So this is one of the things that we did just to begin with. And by the time I get to patent number 14, you're going to understand how we preserve your sovereignty, your power over the technology, which they're slowly trying to erode if you're not paying attention. All right, so it has a self-organizing taxonomy, which means knowledge is automatically clustered into meaningful hierarchies. It's programming questions organized separately from cooking questions, for example. Front end separates from back end. The system builds its own ontology without human curation. And so it does this using a vault system, and there are various floors to the vault. Continuous learning feedback loop, which means it doesn't need an updated model. As long as the LivingFAQ is updated, it remains coherent and current with changing data along the landscape, whereas current LLM models require massive energy and investment in order to update them. So this is a massive advantage that we enjoy over the standard market. Every injection refines the system. Popular questions resurface automatically, and answers that receive positive feedback get prioritized. So we're seeing outdated information is flagged for review, and then it essentially gets washed. So old data gets updated is essentially how that works. Cross-product knowledge sharing is one of the things that we do in our, for example, developer programs, so that there are some things that we do single FAQs for to speed everyone along. Knowledge learned in one product automatically benefits all products. When Angel DX learns something, Angel DX knows it too. This is universal domain application, and it, of course, expands our intelligence across the board. And, of course, before any auto capture FAQ is published, it passes through reviews. And so, of course, there is review on the content, and that's where the human can never be extricated from the process. And LivingFAQ doesn't just capture what users ask, it learns how they ask it. And users ask more frequently asked, which topics tend during certain sessions. What do questions typically come up? What kinds of clusters, if you will? And this behavioral intelligence enables predictive caching, proactive answer generation, and also enhances user experience optimization. So that would be impossible with traditional systems. And that's where ours is very different. So it's not just a faster data retrieval or faster artificial intelligence. It's a energy saving and considerably more efficient system for the average user. And global AI infrastructure consumes approximately 1,500 terawatts of energy annually, and that number is growing, as many of you know. So there's massive pushback that's going on now. And with this technology, we don't need any more data centers. We can actually reduce the number of data centers and still service the people that utilize this technology. So this is not only an answer for the current but future growth of the technology going forward. A significant portion of this energy is wasted on redundant computations, which is what we reduce. So a lot of what we reduce is redundancy. And again, you can see the impact on the number of homes that would be benefited with just a small percentage of AI utilization going through technology that we have developed. So again, it is presenting a tremendous selling, if you will, package to those that are now making decisions, especially municipalities, cities, and governments that are trying to make decisions on balance between technological advancement and improving infrastructure and so forth. However, also being aware of the costs. They're going to be looking at technology that massively reduces that while providing the advantage technologically that governments and companies and industry want. So we had to find a way to meet both needs, and that is what we believe we have done. At current carbon credit prices, $50 to $100 a ton, the environmental impact of LivingFAQ could generate 5.5 to 11 billion in carbon credit value annually. This is a direct monetization pathway. That's one of the reasons why this patent is extremely valuable, because of the carbon credits that it automatically makes available. LivingFAQ directly supports the UN Sustainable Development Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. We didn't intend that. It's just a side effect. And it also is going to meet Goal 12, which is responsible consumption, and Goal 13, which is climate action. And enterprise adapting LivingFAQ can report direct AI sustainability improvements in their ESG filings. So those companies that license our technology then get to adopt, consider themselves compliant. And this is a real shareholder value in today's, of course, investment environment. So again, where we generate revenue and what we, of course, are interested in are those that wish to license our technology. And before it is fully patented, it is patent pending at this time. So right now you have the best opportunities for licensing. Once fully patented, those opportunities will expire. You'll be paying, well, whatever the rate is. And so we, again, have 25 ironclad claims. And again, this is part of a moat, so there's no way going around any individual element, because they are cross patented with other elements that are equally powerful. So again, self-learning FAQ system with automatic knowledge capture. What the claim protects is a core architecture innovation that automatically identifies, captures, and organizes frequently asked questions from natural language conversations without requiring manual curation or user additional action. And these things are, of course, quality scored using an algorithm that we've developed. Automatic metadata extraction. Storage architecture, of course, is included in a real-time monitoring of conversation flow for capture opportunities. And again, this is all secured inside of our systems, not in the public. Unfortunately, most of what people are chatting with right now may as well be in the public. So big difference in terms of security and why this matters. Traditional FAQ systems require manual creation. Ours do not. So this is a huge difference right there. You can look at some of the independent claims if you'd like to. But again, essentially what it's boiling down to is that we are able to retain the linguistic value of all of the interactions that a user has. And over time, not only building that FAQ, but also interacting with that user on a much more intelligent level. So they don't forget the way you like your coffee, if you know what I mean. And conversations that you had in January will still be relevant in June. That's incredibly important because especially in today's world where we just don't have time to constantly repeat ourselves, that was a major issue that we wanted to resolve. Again, if you look closely at the taxonomy, how it develops that information, how it sets it apart, this has become incredibly valuable as we utilize the technology in our development, not having to not only explain any things, but remembering nuances that we otherwise would not have. So again, data retrieval is one thing. Having a living FAQ that understands you and understands the project you're working on is a whole different level, if you know what I mean. So again, this is what we developed here, and you can take a look again at all these different claims that we have. That's why we wanted to do videos for them, because they're extensive, and you would have to go through as either a potential licensee and look at where this may apply to your platform or LLM or company, and if it does apply in that type of scenario. Again, our system is product agnostic. It's knowledge representation, so it doesn't matter which LLM system you have it on. You could use AngelDX technology, or you could be using something else. It makes no difference. It's still going to perform the same functionality. And so we do, of course, have multi-tenant access control with shared knowledge pools if necessary. That's available in both directions. So you can have it individually or have it in a knowledge pool, which can be very beneficial for companies and groups that are trying to maximize the value of that data information that they're acquiring, testing, learning from, developing. So this becomes incredibly valuable for research and development. And again, you have a number of different aspects of this. It's very difficult for me to think of all the various ways in which it can be implemented, but that will be up to you, the user out there. And most companies have siloed knowledge. The customer service team doesn't know what the sales team knows, and different products have different FAQ systems. LivingFAQ creates a unified knowledge layer, and AngelDX learns something. AngelDX knows it immediately, and the customer asks a question of one product. Every product benefits from, everybody benefits from the answers. And this is where it becomes very powerful. So again, one of the main issues is the number of times that it goes back to the GPUs or back to the data centers. A traditional AI may have 10 API calls for stuff that's standard information, things that we already cached. We would never go back there, right? So that means that this information is now coming local, as opposed to having to go back to a data center, which reduces the data center usage. So you understand how that works. So we're preventing a lot of external searches, and as a result, dramatically reducing the utilization of the data center itself. Okay, so it's a cache first query solution pipeline. Its energy consumption is tracking, and energy consumption is tracked and of course reported, and we move a lot faster as a result. So when you're retrieving data that you've already retrieved, you don't have to go process it again. That speeds you up. So you're increasing your speed time in response, in addition to providing higher quality information. And every AI query consumes energy. It consumes energy and electricity, as well as in terms of water. And so this is something that we're all starting to figure out. GPU spin, electricity flows, carbon is emitted. Most of this is redundant. So the same question asked millions of times, each time generating the same answer from scratch, means that we're wasting all of this. And that is not acceptable to us. So our system would cache those answers and therefore eliminate them from having to be utilized this way. You can see the intelligence just in that alone. Okay, and so again, we do have technical elements of this that we have to review. So humans are in the mix, so you can take a look at that. And when that AI finally knows you and it remembers your preferences, it's not just a personal chat thing, it's a work device. This is incredibly important for continuity, especially those that are technical fields. And this becomes incredibly important for development, as well as maintaining consistency, accuracy. All of those things depend on having accurate retention of data and having it done faster, cheaper, and better. So traditionally, you're looking at dramatic reductions in costs that we have over spaces, so we can do things that others can't do. And our return on investment, our cost basis is very different than traditional AI. So this was actually, when we first patented it, was our flagship patent. It's not anymore. We have bigger patents now, but at the time it was. And so it is, of course, an incredibly important patent as a cornerstone of our IP portfolio. And that's basically the information there on that. Now, there are some things that you may not understand if you didn't really have a good understanding of the technology. So how does this really break down for the average person? And if you spend, again, time having to teach or train your AI or your system, or you're having to constantly update its system so it functions properly, these are the kinds of things that our patent will affect. So for the consumer, AI constantly remembers and never needs re-explaining. The questions answered instantly from a living knowledge base. It learns your domain, your voice, your preferences. It's got faster answers as a result because GPU is not involved. So this speeds us up. What it already knows, it doesn't need to go to a data center to go get it. All right. So that just makes common sense, folks. It remembers the answers forever. It doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It's not going to get erased unless you erase it. And then we updated this because one of the things that we really didn't look at, but that started coming out more recently as we began to look at the scenario that our patents impacted, one of the areas that we hadn't really thought about, folks, was water. And once we did think about the water, it became very obvious that our patents, of course, impacted this area as well. And so the number of gallons of water is 9.1 billion liters of water on that 1%. Remember, this was on the low end of implementation. This is not full implementation. So if the country said we're mandating this, well, then this number would be phenomenally bigger. But even at just a 1%, you can see the amount of water that is now eliminated as a result of our technology. So very important from a conservation standpoint. Also, you can see the amount of CO2 prevention. And of course, you can see the sustainable development goals that are also met, which are wise if they're done for the benefit of humanity instead of while enslaving humanity. All right. So nobody did these math numbers until now. Every AI query consumes a certain amount of water for cooling. Microsoft's own disclosed figure of 10 billion global queries per day has 250 million liters daily evaporated gone. And 10% query reduction through LivingFAQs, 9.1 billion liters of water returned to communities annually. And Phoenix is running out of groundwater because of data center growth. So this patent is part of the solution. And again, the revised valuation as a result of the water element changed the valuation of this particular patent to $450 to $650 million just for this patent alone, because of its ability to do just what we just described, reduce the amount of actual utilization. So again, automatic capture, self-organizing intelligence, and exponential value accumulation for the user, so the user benefits. And the businesses, of course, dramatically benefit as they implement this technology. Let's take a look at this from a business standpoint. They'll reduce AI infrastructure costs 10 to 20% throughout their cash first serving. The direct ESG reporting, energy reduction, water saved, and carbon offsets. So they get carbon credits based on some of this stuff, which is amazing when you really think about it. So this is very valuable, especially in our corporate environments. We have sub 50 millisecond cache retrieval versus 800 millisecond plus model inference. So we are considerably faster than your traditional AI process right now. And we are offering licensing at a, again, reduced rate at this point for those businesses and companies that see the value in this technology and getting in early. What rates you get if you lock in a rate beforehand or early in, you get to keep that rate. So those that get on board early become our friends long term. And of course, for developers, there's no question of the value for developers. This is one of the greatest areas where our technology impacts when they're developing or designing, and you're frustrated by having to go back. Remember, these AIs are harvesting frustration We're going to get into that with some of our other patents, but essentially they harvest frustration. So they're taking advantage of your frustrated state so they can make their money. And again, we've already covered the savings. And so as you look at these various different elements of our patent, and not only how the technology works, but how it benefits you, the individual, it is clear that it was designed with one intent, and that was to empower you. And that's why I built these things. That's why I spent the time I did. And that's what we're making available. So you're welcome to hop on over to these websites. This is angelsdx.com. Link will be in the description. And if you, by the way, go on up here to the top. So let's do that. Let's go on up here. And of course, you can look at each one of the patents. I'm only covering number 1 today. So if you click here, you're going to go to the next one, which is harmony. So it's going to go on and on. So you can go on through all of the 14 patents that we have so far if you want to look at them. And each one of them have not only a valuation based on current market and so forth and various factors. And if you want to look at those, then the site you want to go to is NewKingdomFinancial.net, which will give you the actual valuations of each one of the patents and how they're valued, so that you can see that how that valuation was achieved, if you will. So you can look at the way that is developed out. And so, of course, there's methodologies for that. And of course, the valuations are based on certain methodologies that are utilized there for that purpose. So very informative, actually. It helps you understand the applications themselves, how technology is, how critical this kind of technology is, and how just simple changes can make such a dramatic move. I mean, how many of you knew that we could that dramatically impact the amount of water, for example, that is utilized by simply changing the way in which the process works? And that is a dramatic impact. Will that affect communities? You bet. Will that affect homes? You bet. Okay, we don't have the water for the other method. This method we have the water for. The other method we don't. That's simple. This method we could squeeze the electricity into. It's gonna dramatically reduce it. The other method becomes too expensive. The standard method that we're using today suddenly becomes very, very expensive for municipalities, for cities, for counties, and they're already pushing back. So again, our patents don't come too soon for what we believe is a critical part of critical time in American history that we believe the remnant needed to be participants in, not hiding away or hoping somebody else comes up with solutions. And so I'm very grateful for the team here at New Kingdom that we banded together to make these solutions available in a time when the nation needs more than just rhetoric and more than simply angry protests or disconnected people and populations, if you will. Instead, we need to have proactive solutions that are effective, that people can get behind, and where business will have a hard time arguing. They're going to reduce their costs. Communities have a hard time arguing. We're going to reduce their costs. And for those that hate the AI completely, they're going to be happy as well, because we just dramatically reduce its potential impact on a community. So massive shifting. And we're very, again, happy to have patented this technology and made it available to the public for reduction of costs and reduction of the impact of data centers. So that's it for this particular recording. And I will make this available. We're going to do 13 more. We're going to cover all 14 patents the same way, so you have an understanding of their value. So today we just covered the Living FAQ. Thanks again for joining us.